I changed the name of these to bite-sized ASL because what I'm covering isn't necessarily oft-forgotten rules anymore. And I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I initially started by covering Chapter A, Infantry type bite-sized rules, but now I'm going to be jumping all over the map. I'm going to jump all the way from Chapter A, potentially all the way up to Chapter G, which is PTO and the Japanese, and everything in between, and I'm going to mix it up to give exposure to new players of some of the rules that are in the ASL system. And we're all the way up to number 21, coax machine guns and loss of acquisition. If we have this situation where the German tank is firing at the Russian squad and the tank chooses to fire its coax machine gun at the squad, it maintains acquisition. But if it chooses to fire its coax machine gun, for example, into this wood hex next to it, it would lose acquisition. So make sure that if a target is not acquired yet, to shoot your coax machine gun at any target first, and then choose to shoot your main armament at a potentially different target after that, or make sure you shoot both at the same target. Number 22, wrecks on roads. We have this armored car moving down the road using the road rate, and it comes into contact with a wrecked vehicle on the road. In a normal open ground hex, the armored car would have to pay 1 extra movement point to move through the hex with the wreck, simulating the slight slowdown that might cause. But if the armored car enters this hex using the road rate, it actually has to pay 1 extra movement point to enter that hex while maintaining the road rate. So to enter this hex would actually cost 2 movement points in lieu of potentially traversing it and going around it, in which case for an armored car, each of those hex, once off the road, would cost 3 movement points. So remember, when you enter a road hex with a wreck, you have to pay a little bit extra to get around the wreck that's actually on the road if you're using the road rate. Number 23, don't forget about conditional rate of fire. Here we have a German anti-tank gun manned by a crew, and this American Sherman comes moving up this hex row out of its covered arc. Therefore, it has to change covered arc to fire at the American Sherman if it chooses. Because the anti-tank gun is non-turreted, nor is it a mobile platform, when it changes its covered arc to fire, its rate of fire goes down by 1. From a 2 to a 1 in this case. And if the gun has no multiple rate of fire, it's instead covered with a intensive fire counter, showing that it cannot use intensive fire the rest of the turn. But if I do fire and get a 1 on the red die to maintain rate of fire, my next fire would not be considered conditional rate of fire. I would be back up to a normal rate of fire of 2. Number 24, sniper checks. This is one I forget to do all the time. Let's say we have this German sniper here, and it gets activated, and it manages to shift to Lieutenant Hopkinson over here. After any resolution of the sniper, if there is any, Hopkinson and gang have the option to do a sniper check. If they're in good order, not pinned, they can choose to essentially attack the sniper counter. And with the final die roll less than or equal to 2, with a bunch of modifiers, depending on how many units and what leaders are in there, you can actually reduce the SAN number of the sniper that landed in that hex. Any units participating in a sniper check immediately become TI, temporarily immobilized, thus they can't fire the rest of the turn. So make sure if you're going to do a sniper check, you have no other plans for Lieutenant Hopkinson and the squads in that hex before you do your sniper check. I forget this all the time. Strike back at the sniper. Number 25, voluntary break. Do you ever find yourself in a dire situation like I'm showing here? Here we have 2 Russian squads, a Russian leader, and a hero who are thinking about jumping into close combat with his conscript German. The conscript squad's getting a little skittish, so what are his options? Well, he could tough it out and see how it goes, or he could break voluntarily and rot away. He can only do this as long as self-breaking, does not cause his potential elimination. In this case, it would not, because he could break, beginning of the route phase, and then easily route back like this without being interdicted or resorting to low crawl, thus living to fight another day. He would, of course, be under DM.